Hi guys, Kandi Spangler here, Moto Eye Kandi, with another ride report that we're calling the Fall Foliage Georgia Pass ride. This is a 2-day ride that was about 500 miles, about 50-50 dirt and slab. If you have a fully loaded adventure bike that you like to have challenging terrain, both on and off-road, this is the ride for you. So let's get started. So here's our routing for the day. We started out in Arvada, Colorado, and headed up 70 to Guanella Pass. Obviously, the leaves were beautiful this weekend, but we quickly were met with some serious traffic up at Guanella Pass. It was sort of ridiculous. There was cars parked on both sides of the road, leaving only one lane available, one direction on a 2-lane road. We ended up making it work. We got through it in about an hour, but it could have taken us a lot longer. Then we stopped in Jefferson before heading up to Georgia Pass. We've done this approach before, and so we knew which way we were going. It's a beautiful ride up, and the leaves were in perfect condition. Once at the top, knowing which way not to go after our ride a couple weekends ago, which I have affectionately called Not Georgia Pass in Sun Bitch Hill. If you want to see that video, check it out on my YouTube channel. Once at the top, of course, I am the canary. I am the shortest rider in the group and can't stop easily on rough terrain. So I headed past Shannon and down the trail. The trail was challenging. We headed down the pass and it got spicier and spicier. It's much steeper than it looks in this video, and it got very challenging. However, gravity was on our side. We let the bikes roll through. The bikes did fantastic. Hopefully due to our advanced skill as well, but the bikes really can handle this terrain. Once at the bottom, I took a little break. We were all pretty winded before we got started again. Here you can see I lose a little bit of traction on the rear and almost lose it, but we headed up the hill, past a few vehicles, down back into the valley before finally popping out, and we can proudly say we did it. We conquered Georgia Pass. Now we were headed back towards 70, but not before we had a little bit of trouble with Shannon's rear tire. We had a flat tire, we pulled over, and quickly went to work. All right, so we're on the side of Highway 9. We just came off Georgia Pass. Thankfully, we weren't even on the pass, so we're on the side of the road, so we get to hear all the traffic. But Shannon here got a flat tire pretty suddenly. So I went and found a water bottle here on the side of the road, and then I always carry this. One side has grease, one side has Dawn dish soap in it. And I filled up that nasty water bottle, mixed it up, because we could not find the hole. And so we started pouring soapy water over it and found it almost immediately. So now we're just patching it up. So let's take a look. All right, so he has already reamed out the hole right in there. You can see it. Now we are going to throw a worm in here. I always carry some sort of a pocket knife, utility knife, Swiss Army knife. All right, so now we're just gonna put a little extra rubber cement on this. This is fresh stuff, you gotta replace it pretty much every year because it gets hard or once it's opened anyways. So we're just gonna put a little extra on there for good measure. All right, now he's gonna go in. He's in, now with one swift pull, and there it is. Now we're just gonna trim that up and we'll be on our way. After a short meditation session to sing along with our air compressor, we decided to get the tire pumped back up again using our moto pump setup with an SAE connection. And we were back on the road, heading back towards 70, where we would head up towards Copper and then turn left towards Leadville, where we would pick up Hagerman Pass. Once up towards Hagerman Pass, we decided it was time for a quick lunch, so we stopped on the road overlooking Turquoise Lake, here between two concrete barriers where there was a little bit of road damage, made for a great viewpoint. Here we started seeing more fantastic leaf colors, and we got up towards the top where it definitely got a little more challenging. We took in the views, and then right before we got to the summit, we passed this hardy mountain bike rider who was getting all the way up Hagerman Pass. Once we reached the top and took a quick break, we started heading down. Again, great views until reaching the water crossing that a lot of you have probably seen on other videos. This water crossing is not too bad. It's a little sandy on the opposite side, but easy to get through before heading back down the canyon towards one of my favorite slab rides during the fall, Frying Pan Road. After a few more twisties and popping out on the main road, we headed towards Carbondale, where we found our accommodations for the night around 4:30 p.m., got a great dinner, and got some good rest. The next morning, we decided to get started around 9 a.m., giving it a little bit of time to warm up, but we had a route that was loosely planned here, but we ended up doing this route mainly because of the traffic on 285 that we encountered that day. We started up Independence Pass, and it was cold and crisp air. The further up we got, I think it got down to around 43 degrees at some point, but later in the day, of course, we were shedding layers. It got nice and warm for us. It was perfect temperatures. As you can see, there's a couple of single lane sections on the approach to Independence Pass from the Aspen side. No big deal, and really there's opportunity to stop and take in the views. Once at the top, we stopped for a few pictures and then started heading down the alpine tundra. We then popped out on 24 near Twin Lakes, where we took a left about 5 miles before we turned right onto the road for Weston Pass. Now this pass I would consider a beginner intermediate ride on a big loaded adventure bike, but there are a couple of sections, short sections, that are a little more challenging. Once we popped out on 285, we started headed towards Fairplay, but we ran into traffic quickly, ended up doing a 180 and headed back towards Antero Junction, where we took 24 south and decided to find a different way back home. Just a short distance past Hartzell, we picked our way through the hillside up towards a road called Turner Gulch Road. This road was so much fun, and Scott knew the area so well that we found some great two-track and beautiful views up there before popping out near Tarryall Reservoir. But not before we had a quick lunch before we moved on. Once on Tarryall Road, we decided to head south to take in some of those tasty curves that we love on these big bikes. We took that all the way down to Florissant, where we started heading north on a road called Trail Creek Road. This ends up being a little bit of two-track with some great creek crossings, and then you eventually pop out on West Creek near Deckers on 67. From there, we hit a little bit of slab, and we turned onto South Platte River Road in Deckers, took that to Foxton, where right about here is where we met up with our good friend Ethel. She is a donkey that lives there, and we always stop to say hello. Then as we pieced our way back towards 285, Scott knew about this great little stash of curvy roads that would hook us up with Pleasant Park before we finally headed home. Guys, this was a fantastic weekend. We had perfect temperatures, perfect weather, great riding partners, and of course we had the best bikes to handle the slab and the dirt fully loaded. It was a stark contrast compared to a few weekends earlier when we took not Georgia Pass the wrong way to get down and ended up hitting some of the chunk. So we were really, really excited that this weekend turned out to be so awesome. Anyways, that's our ride report for this time. I'm Kandi Spangler. Keep the greasy side down, and we'll see you next time.